passion for global tea culture. Now, I know that some people here likes high teas. If you're a person of high teas, please invite Kate. If you know some sophisticated, nice tea or some Chisubi tea that you think you can send your border to bring here right now for Kate, please, tell your border to bring it. Kate, in Uganda, we have a border for everything. The border who brings your official documents, and the one who brings gas at your house, and the one who takes some books to your child's school when they have forgotten it. Yes.
Even the one who brings the money.
Oh yes, so the one who brings the money, the one who you can trust. Yes. So, friends, if you have a border guy who can bring some tea for Kate, we'll be excited. Just to reward her to come and share this experience with us. So, friends, in a nutshell, that really she is driven by community. Let me tell you, Kate comes into Uganda and you think that you are her best friend until we realize how many people are on the lineup who can identify with that. She's seeing people from one end to another, so she's a community person. And so this Menopause Reset is really a community that she wants to build, a movement. And so we are inviting you this morning to sign up to this movement. And I think that if you and I sign up today, and we sign up to reset our lives, we are going to change this nation. This nation is largely a young nation, very young nation, that need to be guided. And so may I just propose to you that you're the moms of this nation. That doesn't make you old, it just makes you reset. Reset to identify with younger people because they're coming to where you are. So Kate, thank you again. With that, over to you, Cleopatra.
A round of applause for Dr. Kate, who's going to be coming forward to speak to all of you. And a round of applause for you ladies. Clap for yourselves for being here. Thank you so much for coming through. Dr. Kate, you are welcome.
It was, can I call it a dream to actually make it here for this? So thank you so much for accepting the invitation and showing up, because I think you're actually showing up for yourselves if you do think about that. So thank you, because taking time out from our busy days, from our busy schedules, to actually make time for ourselves is so important. Because as women, we are so busy looking after other people, looking after, our work, and especially now as we're getting at that stage where our parents are also older, our caring roles are increasing. So making time for ourselves is key. And as we are going through that transition that we all know about, it's important that we know what it's all about, but also take time to look after ourselves. And I really hope that this will help us reset, but also take time for understanding what it's all about. So menopause, I would want to say, is not an ending, but actually a new beginning, a chance to reset our health, our energy, and mindset. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Now, before we start, I do know that we all got a chance to put labels on our chests, but I just wanted us to learn a new way of introducing ourselves, and it's called Makaton. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'll show you, I'll demonstrate, and then I think to make it quicker, because I think we're a largish group now, we can just do it on our desks so that we feel like we've learned something new, because of course it's now learning how to communicate with especially those young children who don't always understand children with special educational needs, but also a fun way of introducing ourselves. So if you think about your first letter of your name that you've put on your name badge, so I'll use my name, Kate. So Kate is a K that way. Okay, so that's a K. But for A, R, A, E, O, U, yeah, so that's A, E, I, O, U. So then, hello, my name is Kate. Okay, do you get it? Hello, my name is whatever your sign is. So mine is K. Now, if your name begins with A, that will be A. If your name is B, that's B, C, D. So if you introduce yourselves on the table, so you feel, hello, my name is. Okay, right. So the session, is that okay? Do we all know each other? Fantastic. So the session is going to be divided into 3 parts. So the first part is about menopause reset and making it personal to ourselves. What does a reset mean? And we're going to take time to understand our values. We're going to take time to understand our priorities. And then we're going to create or craft what is our mission statement for ourselves. I want us to leave this place with a commitment to reset. A reset that's personal to us. A reset that's personal to each and every one of us here. Reason being, if we don't make it personal, if we don't align it already what is of value to us, of what we prioritize, then it will be an add-on talk, course, whatever, that doesn't actually mean anything. I wouldn't want to come and waste time here or waste your money. I want us to make sure that this is meaningful to us, okay? So then the second part is going to talk about we'll focus on the book and we'll talk a bit about the menopause and just try to clarify what it is and the science behind it. And then the other part is about self-leadership and also how we show up for ourselves, how we show up in our workplaces, how we show up, how we want to show up. So we define that as part of self-leadership. And then, time allowing, I wanted us to be little girls again, to have a bit of fun, to have some creative activity, but also a reminder of the commitment we've made so that we take away something that we can either put on the fridge or put on a bracelet or use as a bookmark in maybe the Menopause Reset book or whichever book you're reading. I would encourage you to read so many books. John Maxwell has so many good books. If you do want to improve on yourselves, please do read. So yes, it can be used as a bookmark. And then for those who want their copies signed, I'll sit at the back and we can just add my signature. So you go with a signature. But I really hope we have a good time together. The whole point of this is really knowing that I'm not an expert. I'm just one chapter ahead, maybe because of the the opportunity I have to be where I am with the exposure I have. I didn't want to wait to be an expert to come. I thought, let me learn a little and do a little. And this is what I'm doing. So I'm here not as an expert. I'm also learning. I'm going through the menopause, actually. I was telling my cousin yesterday that I was so disappointed. I had an MRI scan, and there were no ovaries. As in zilch, zero. So I then understood a lot of why my symptoms were, why I had a lot of symptoms. So I'm actually going to get my little fan because it's a bit hot here. Apologies. Right, so menopause reset. It's not an easy question to answer. Because like I said before, as years go by, we get so focused on caring for other people or keeping up with life, we don't always check in on ourselves and really think about what we need, what we want, what we care about. So it's, at least I can speak for myself, we seem to be so focused on other people that we don't take time for ourselves. So I want us to use this time to really think with clarity, what are my values, you know? So in your workbook, in time it's going to be a little smarter, remember? Just starting out, so a lot of this is DIY. So in your workbook, there is a values list. I want us to take time to discover our values. I've put down that list to help us, but feel free to add more values on there. Why? Because menopause is actually a great time to get introspective, to look inside and get clear on what we really want, on who we are, and the most important, you know, so that we make the most of this important phase in our lives, okay? So if you look at that list, it may speak to us. You might want to add some more, but the important thing is, does it speak for you? The values on there or in there, you know, think about maybe your lifestyle, mindset, your body, your health and fitness, how you want to show up. Use that to guide what you really want to pick as your values. So if you pick up 10 that speak to you, and then I'll give you 10 minutes. And once you've picked your 10, then drop it down to 5. How are you doing? Is the list coming? Do you need any help? After you narrow it down to 5, then narrow it down to 3. Have you? Okay, I know it's hard, but it's really important for us to be clear on our values. Down to 3, would we say? Or do you need some more time? You finished? Okay, thank you. Right, so it's only on my memory stick. Right, so if we have defined our values, now the next thing I want us to do is take some time to define what our priorities are, to think about the big rocks. The reason being, if we think about our time or life as an empty jar, now it all depends on what we fill that jar with and how we fill that jar. So think about the big rocks as the important things that actually do make a difference or add value to our lives. Then the small pebbles as things we enjoy, but oh dear, looks like I've gone far ahead of myself. Things we enjoy, but not necessarily add value to us as such, but bring satisfaction. And then the small sand, or the small sand really, are things that are fun, but don't necessarily add too much value. But sometimes we can be tempted to fill our lives with fun things, and we forget to prioritize the big rocks, the big priorities. I saw that, whilst I was trying to pack a small suitcase, because of course you're all given maybe 10 kilograms or 23. Some experienced travelers will put in enough and it will cover everything. Inexperienced travelers will try to put in everything and some things will be falling out, and still you get to your place and you're thinking, I didn't pack this, and yet the suitcase was bulging. So the time I want us to spend now is thinking about our priorities. What are those big rocks that we need to fill our jar with? Because like it shows in that picture, I don't know if you can see, if the sand or the small rocks are filled in fast in that empty jar, the big rocks may not fit. But we need to fit our big rocks first. Now the big rocks may include things like family, friends, me time, things like that. So if you can just think about what are those big priorities for yourself, and then once we define that, then we'll combine them with our values to come up with what will be our mission statement. So if you think about that, I'll give you 5 minutes. Because you really want, yes, so if you, sorry, I should be clear, in the page, it is, if you turn the page over from the values, it's the big rocks. So things that you really want to prioritize in your life, in your future, what is it that makes the biggest positive difference? what makes you most fulfilled? What can you imagine life without? So if you just take time to reflect on that. And why is it important? Because like I said before, if we don't prioritize ourselves or what is important to us, then will we then call this a menopause reset? Who is it for? It's about you. Today is about you. And I want each and every one of you to feel special, but more importantly, to live with clarity of what you want your future to look like, of what you want the next phase of your life to be. So, do we have big rocks clear? Okay. I'm going to give you an example of what menopause mission statement could look like, but feel free to adjust it, to adopt it. So during and after or before, for some who may not be there yet, what is it you want to prioritize, spend your time doing, and then live according to which values? What's possible when you stop trying to fit someone else's story. And what if you get Then we've come up with our mission statement. As you fill out the mission statement, I want you to continue to ask yourself, does this statement align with my top 3 values? Does this statement consider my 3 big rocks? Does this statement align with how I want to spend my time? Now, if you can answer yes to those questions, how are we doing? More time? Now, when you close your eyes and envision living according to that statement, how do you feel? Do you feel joyful, expansive, light? excited, inspired? If it is a yes, then we have our personalized menopause mission statement. Who is ready? Do you feel there was clarity on getting to this point? Do we have our own menopause mission statements? I'll give us time to share with each other on the tables what you came up with. Or if anyone feels bold, you can share. Do we have our MMS? Who feels ready to share? Who would want to share their MMS? Farida, you look like you want to. Okay. Yeah? A microphone? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is what I've written. Because for my list of values, the three that I zeroed on were faith, health, and kindness. So my rocks are family, faith, well-being, that's physical, emotional, and mental, quality friendships, and journey to achieve and sustain financial independence. So for my I know you got your mama. So for my menopause mission statement, what I wrote is, during and after menopause, I want to prioritize my family, my faith, my well-being, quality friendships, and journey to achieve and sustain financial independence. And I will live according to my values of faith, health, and kindness.
That's beautiful. I really, really hope you all came up with a mission statement that will mean something to you. I see someone shaking their head. Okay, don't mind. You're taking the workbooks with you. Go through the values again. Make sure they mean something for you. Go through the rocks, write the list down, and then come up with a mission statement that actually means something. And you can then use that template to come up with a vision statement that means something. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, before we move on, I wanted us to take time to go through what myths we have about menopause. And Cleopatra will take us through.
Thank you, Dr. Kate. A round of applause for Dr. Kate. Menopause 2025 Reset. To the online viewers, we love you. Thank you for being a part of this, and we hope you're doing the exercise because it's hot in here. If you have not written your mission statement, I don't know, she's given us a whole... Okay, so for me, personally, menopause is something that has been... I didn't know about it, and think, like, to actually know about it was maybe this year and that last year, and that was because I'm in the film industry. So there's this lady called Halle Berry. You know her, yeah? Very gorgeous, very confident. Now Halle Berry ends up talking about menopause, and I think Gwyneth Paltrow, another actress, they were talking about how they had challenges during that time. They couldn't do their work. They couldn't, they were feeling a certain kind of way. I wouldn't know, but I'm curious to know. So, the myths, let me come back to this. The myths about menopause, what have you heard that is ridiculous? Or what is it that you have heard that you don't even know? Is it true? Is it a lie? Who can tell me?
The heat, sweating too much.
She says the heat, sweating too much. Do you have one? Anne?
The anxiety, abusing people, going off on anything, yeah.
Anxiety. There's that myth that there is anxiety and then you abuse people and you just lose it every time.
Vaginal dryness and it becoming loose and etc.
But is that true? Dr. Kate, you're going to tell us. That is scary. What do you mean? That must be a myth.
Mood swings.
Mood swings. That is a myth?
Memory loss, forgetfulness, yes.
Ngatulabi.
I think mine is the weight gain, more than anything else, I think.
The weight gain. You people, you can be small size, what, and then you start seeing a kafupa coming. You know, kafupa is like a little belly down there, and you're wondering what's going on. So, I think I'm in perimenopause.
No desire for intimacy.
The dry eyes and the dry skin.
Brain fog and allergies.
Brain fog and allergies, the dry eyes, dry skin.
Memory loss.
Oh dear. At 35 even. Does from anybody with, and I'm coming to everyone, by the way. If you notice, I've gone to everyone. We have to all be in this together. No woman left behind.
A reduction of confidence in self.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And
Dry skin.
dry skin.
For me, this is not mine, but what I've heard about women, which is a myth, that when we get into menopause, we are old. That's what many women think, that when you get into menopause, you're labeled as old.
Dr. Kate will, Dr. Kate, you're going to clear all this up because I think we are already suffering.
You're mostly detached from what's happening. Yeah.
Detached from what's happening around you. Mm.
I'm sorry to ask this, but I'm not sure I know exactly what is menopause exactly from the doctor. Is it what I think I know? Is it what she says? Is it what is happening to me? What exactly should I take to be menopause? So I deal with it. Yeah? It's a lot of things, like they say you dry the eyes, you don't want sex, you don't want men. What is menopause? Yeah?
She has raised a very good question. What is it about menopause that makes us menopausal?
I think a myth is that we cannot get pregnant.
Oh, yes, yes. And then while that was happening, there was this lady who got pregnant, and she was above, Janet Jackson actually as well.
Joint pain.
The knees start getting weak. Madam, should I come to you? You have one more?
So the myth that we actually can't talk about menopause.
That it's a taboo to speak of. I'm coming to you, my dear.
That it starts after 55.
It could be a lie. We should prepare. Layla, Cynthia, we have to be ready.
Not a myth as such, but I think it's also a time where you self-analyze a lot. Have I achieved what I intended to achieve in life? What else? And in all spheres of our lives, career, family, the children. Have I parented right? Where did I go wrong or right? Yeah.
Now that makes me wonder, is that the same thing as midlife crisis? If I go in midlife crisis, am I being menopausal?
A low sex drive and lethargy and fatigue that you can't explain all the time.
Okay.
What I've heard is when you're in menopause, you're no longer useful in the workplace.
Yes, that challenge. Old also, eh? Goes back to saying you're old.
Irregular periods.
Did I skip you? Hey. Hot flashes are starting.
I've heard that there's hair loss in menopause.
Hey, you guys, I think it's a blessing in disguise that I'm here. I'm glad to be. Olga, my dear partner, what is your myth?
That all your experiences that you have been developing over the years are suddenly relevant.
Oh, that they become relevant.
All the learning experiences, the adversity that you've gone through, what you've overcome, and your story is certainly relevant when it's at its peak.
I think that's a fact. Olga. Now, like Dr. Kate, all her achievements, everything is valid right now. Not so? Please clarify to us. Amazing. Thank you, ladies. Clap for yourselves. I think that is, those are all wonderful myths, and some of them could be fact or fiction. Dr. Kate is going to break that down for us. Oh, you have a microphone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really hope our talk will demystify some of those myths, answer some of those questions, but we'll also have an opportunity for a question and answer session to go through what we may not have covered in this session. But yes, menopause is real. And there's thoughts that it happens overnight, but it's not overnight, it's a transition. And sometimes it can go for as long as 7 to 14, even longer years. In fact, some people say 20 years. Some people, even after the menopause, they still struggle with symptoms. So it's a transition. Another myth that I have that wasn't mentioned, that all women experience menopause symptoms. I just wanted to say, do you remember in in primary school, not everyone had painful periods or, struggled through their menses or times of periods, and yet actually some people could not go into school because of their menses. And it's the same thing with menopause or this time of our lives. Some people sail through with no symptoms at all, and some people really struggle. Interestingly, I don't know if I'm the only statistic, but black people tend to have worse symptoms than a white population. That's what the books say. And also that black people tend to have menopause earlier than our white population. So they tend to have it 8 months to 1.5 years before, because the average age is 51 years of age. So in fact, when I had my scan and had my ovaries 0, as in not visible, I was like, maybe this is a true fact, So because of course sometimes you read things, and until you experience things or you meet people who have actually gone through, you don't really put that into, you don't believe it as a fact, but I can say I've gone through that. So the session that we're now going to go into is helping us understand the menopause and the hormonal changes. I hope that will explain some of the questions we've had, the triggers and symptoms, and then we'll do the menopause reset. We'll use an interview to go through the book, and then, like I said, we'll have a session on self-leadership, and what I put as thriving and shining is a fun activity. So here we go. So what is menopause? So it's actually defined as a point in time when you've spent 12 complete months of no periods. So until that time, you're in the perimenopause. And before that time, you're premenopausal. So you actually become premenopausal the time you go into your menarche, when you start your periods. So that is all defined as premenopause until you go into the perimenopause, and then menopause, which is just a point in time, which is 12 months. At that point, when you have 12 months of no period, and then, then the postmenopause, okay? So usually the menopause, or the transition begins at the age of 45 to 55, so you are not wrong to say 55, because interestingly, I had a patient who at the age of 55 thought she had gone through the menopause, only to find her tummy kept getting bigger and bigger, and she had a baby. So during this time, it's important to make sure you still seek contraception. Don't forget that, okay? I'm sorry to... That is if you don't want a baby. Unless you've definitely had the 12 months of no period, and then you've hit what we call the menopause. But until then, the ovaries might just surprise you, okay? So just be ready for that, okay? Now, the two main hormones that are produced are estrogen and progesterone. And these are the hormones that fluctuate and go down and down and down during that period of the menopause transition until you actually go into the menopause. So I have an image here that demonstrates what happens. Now, during that time when the menopause, during that time when the hormones are fluctuating, you tend to find that that's when the symptoms are most severe and most troublesome. You know, and the symptoms you've actually described and talked about are most faced during that period of time. So you'll find that the FSH, which is the hormone that is tested to confirm whether someone is in the menopause, tends to continue to rise. And the estrogen and the progesterone levels tend to go down. So I don't know if you've heard about people going on to HRT, hormone therapy. So it's because the hormone has gone down, and that really is mostly what causes the symptoms. Most of the symptoms that I experienced are due to those hormone levels really going down. But it's a normal aging process. We can't do anything about it. That we can't control. And that's what I really want us to understand, that we cannot control what nature has put. But we have things in our control, and that's what I want us to talk about today or focus on. You know, things that we can use to alleviate symptoms, lifestyles we can choose to take to improve things, you know. So there are things we can't control. We can't control the hormones. We can't control when menopause actually starts. Like I said, I was a bit surprised, to be honest, when I had the scan done. I can't say disappointed. Well, surprised and disappointed. And 0, no ovary. Yeah. Yeah, so, but we have things in our control. We have things in our gift that we can take, you know, that we can make the most of to go through this phase of our lives. So I just wanted us to get a pictorial image of what the stages look like. So, like I said, before the age of 35 to 45, even sincerely, even from before, you're in the premenopause, okay? And you have normal reproductive life, normal, you know, the usual symptoms, right? But I think it's that perimenopause period when the hormones are going down, really fluctuating, that most people tend to struggle. And then we can look at menopause not just as a stage, but actually as a public health problem, a workforce problem. And yet, it's not recognized as such. And to be fair, that's why I came up with this idea of Thrive Soul, to see how best to support women going through this phase. And I'm trying to see how best I can work corporation offices and all that to really see how best they can support women during this phase. Because of course, it's not that the women have stopped being productive. It's not at all. But it's just that transition they're going through that's affecting how they show up. So we talked about those other symptoms, and so from this you'll see where you're at, and in your booklet, I've left mine on the table, you have a symptom checker which you can refer to as well, which describes the symptoms in more detail. So the hormones, like we've said, they fluctuate. As they fluctuate, as they go down, what's their impact? What's the role? So the estrogen actually is one of those key ones because it supports the memory attention. It supports mood regulation. So of course the fluctuations will then cause or create brain fog and mood swings. The progesterone tends to have the calming effect on the nervous system, so you'll find that its decline might result in increased anxiety, sleep disruption. I haven't talked about the testosterone, but it's one of those hormones that is also present in women as well, because we tend to only associate it with men, but it also goes down. And when it does, you'll find indeed that it's linked with low sex drive, motivation, assertiveness, and it may show up as low confidence or ambition, sometimes replacing the estrogen helps increase the levels, but sometimes testosterone is also included in the treatment if that's really required. I put up an image of symptoms. Now, it's interesting that actually menopause affects all the body's systems, all. So indeed, like you talked about, the dry eyes, the brain, the heart, the gut. In fact, it's my gut that put me down this route of trying to get answers, because my gut was really misbehaving. And yeah, so of course we talked about irregular periods. But one of those common symptoms that maybe not many people actually seek support for is the urogenital health, and it's very key. First of all, when you've had children and you haven't taken time to do what you had been told to do, you know, if we haven't been diligent, which I know some of us, you're so busy, like we said at the beginning, we don't take time to look after ourselves. We haven't taken time to have our pelvic floor, you know, strengthened. You've carried babies, you've had a lot of heavy loads you've carried. That pelvic floor, which is a big vessel, big muscle underneath our bodies that's supposed to support all the structures, then sags. When it sags, it then affects a lot of things, because then it affects the, you know, sometimes prolapse or increased urinary symptoms, a lot of discomfort. You know, you have a feeling of something down below continually. There is treatments there. So if you do have those symptoms, please seek help, because I think the books say that 75% of women, particularly those in the post-menopause, do have genitourinary symptoms, but yet not many seek help. And in fact, those symptoms can be so debilitating that some people don't even leave the home, or they struggle to leave the house, or struggle to get out, or maybe even affect their intimacy because of the pain, the discomfort. So it's important, there is help. And even for those who've struggled with, you know, or who are hesitant to use, for example, the estrogen therapy, at least that low-dose estrogen therapy is available and is safe to use if that is a problem. Of course, another common problem we have with menopause is the sleep problem and the vasomotor symptoms, as you can see. Yeah, so, yes. Break it down. Oh, sorry. Yes. So you tend to find most people will struggle with hot flashes, excessive sweating, feeling hot, migraines, and headaches and things like that. So it's just making sure that there is help for those symptoms. But the other reassuring thing I wanted to make sure everyone knows is that not everybody experiences those symptoms. Not everybody does. But yet again, it's important to know that if you experience those symptoms, there is help. There is remedies. There is things we can do to alleviate those symptoms. So let's, you know, I think as women, many times we bear with, and I bear testament to that, because I remember a time when I couldn't explain why I was tired. I had 2 little children. I was working, I was studying, I was busy. And I had had a coiling that was, actually I'd had it put in Uganda. I had very, very, very heavy periods. But you know, you explain things away. I was just tired. Why I'm saying that it's important to seek help, because I explained my symptoms away. But it got to a point where I was like, this is not healthy. I went to have a test done, and I was just at that stage of transfusion. But you see, we explain things away. We allow things to get to a point where, so what I'm trying to do and empower people and empower us to do is not to get to that stage where then we need help, but let's get to a stage where we, in the aircraft they say, put on your seatbelt first before you help your child. That's what I'm here to do. Encourage you to put on your seatbelt. Don't be like me who nearly got a transfusion. So, do you recognize any of those symptoms? So one of the important symptoms I really want us to be aware of is bone health. And it's important to do those strengthening exercises, take our calcium, because it's important. We are at increased risk of osteoporosis. So as women, the estrogen, which has been up until now given us, what can I call it? A get out of jail card, has now diminished. So a lot of those symptoms are due to estrogen decline. So we have lost that get out of jail card, so to say. So then we experience a lot of these symptoms. So if we need help, please do seek out the help. But not only that, we can make lifestyle changes that will alleviate or will help address some of that. And sometimes, just like me, I did try what I'm trying to tell you to do, but I still have had to go on to HRT, and it's okay. The hormone replacement therapy, okay? So in as much as I first tried to resist it, hormone replacement therapy. So that, like I said at the start when I was showing you the estrogen and progesterone levels going down, so it's a natural process, but now you can actually have them replaced either orally or like I use a gel which I place on, but it also comes in patches. So sometimes, yes, we are trying to do all these things that I'm trying to get us to do, but the important thing I'm trying to actually emphasize is that before we go down the HRT route, let's get our basics right. And hopefully the next stage is going to produce to get us ready for that. So back home, I have a support group that we meet every fourth Thursday of the month. And yeah, menopause is real. So it's good to have a support group that you engage with that helps us go through this phase. I don't know if you would want us to take a break, have a drink, and then we can go into the next phase.
Okay, ladies, how are you feeling? Scared? Questions. She's talking, but all of you, I'm seeing question marks above the heads. For those who may not know what osteoporosis is, it's a disease that weakens bones, making them fragile and more likely to break. And as you've heard, she's explained what hormone replacement therapy is. I think now we can take a break as we interact with each other, ask each other the questions and trying to answer for ourselves before Dr. Kate comes back. For those who are online, please feel free to ask your questions, post your comments. We are right here with you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Menopause Reset 2025. Let's take a small break, and then we're going to be giving out, Olga is giving out those papers actually, they're on the table. That's why you're going to write your thoughts, your questions. If you have a question, share the question on those papers. And you'll, I think you can just give them to me or Olga, and we'll place them on that board there where she will pick them from. Dr. Kate will pick them. For those who would like to use the ladies, they're right here. You step out and you can find them right here, straight through this door. Viewers on YouTube, if we are still, yes, the book is only 50,000 shillings, so order for it.
So I'm here wondering, how can you get closer to the mic?
Okay.
You get what I mean? We need to hear you audibly.
Okay.
Like that table there was not hearing something.
Really?
They were hearing, but
But it was
and then I want you to ignore this thing. Okay. You know how it's natural?
Yes.
It's natural.
Okay, so I'll
because
focus
whenever
on
you
the
see
other
these
people.
people,
Yes.
abantu bamanya byogamba. Not everything, but just general. Bamanya certain words that we don't know. So I don't know whether we are allowed to interject. Okay. So what's that again?
Yes,
And then
yes, absolutely.
What's that? And then we make it part of like a game.
I think we're going to have to put that also, because like we're going to sit down for the interview. How do we
going to bring it to you there? To bring it to you.
Thank you for that feedback. I'll come closer. Oh, thank you.
So you're going to take this.
You want your tea or the juice? Okay. Hmm? No, no, it's okay. No, it's okay. So did you want this to do something?
It was supposed to shine.
But it's okay. Then it's okay.
Okay, should we put it in the middle?
What are these? Yeah, maybe the charger. So we just have this. It's a cute one.
Thank you.
So are they going to introduce this segment or we start? No, just the segment, then we'll take it off from there. No, we just start.
I forgot. I was going to put the next thing.
Just put the book. Hmm? Hmm? Yes, yes.
Let's redeem the time. Redeem the time. We're going to use slides. Let's come back. Let's come back together, friends. Let's come back. Welcome back from the break. Our online viewers, thank you so much for logging on. Thank you, ladies, again for persevering this morning. Please put aside everything else that you're thinking about this morning. Let's be all together here, okay? If you can put away your phone for just this time so that we lean in and get what we need. Welcome. We're going to ask Christine to introduce herself, and she will be interviewing Dr. Kate for this session. And out of this session, we are going to expect that some of the myths will be demystified, some of the myths that you have written. Kindly send through some of the things that came through your mind as Dr. Kate was speaking. Maybe she's triggered a thought, or she made you wonder, what's happening to my body? What's happening to my colleague that I'm not getting along with at work? Just write it down and we will pass it on to Christine. Welcome.
Thank you, Olga. Good morning, ladies. How are we feeling? Good. I hope Dr. Kate really got us, you know, wanting more, to hear more. And the myths were something that I think she's going to talk about in this segment. We're getting into an interview segment with Dr. Kate. My name is Christine Butegwa. I am an author and a founder of Jabali Consulting. And I am also in the menopause transition. And Dr. Kate, I think just for people who may be online who logged in late, give us a quick introduction of who you are, because we did that at the beginning, but I think we may have some who came in late.
Hi, thank you so much. Again, can I say it's a privilege and an honor for me to be here. I am Kate, the eldest of 5. I actually got parentified at the age of 16. So I've been a carer from that young age. I looked after my siblings, and now I'm a mother of 2 who is now an empty nester, and I felt that I had more still in me to do a bit more nurturing. But I am a physician, I'm a general practitioner, I have an interest in women and children's health, and I've been involved in several leadership roles. And when I started my menopause transition, when I was also seeing other people who are struggling, I was inspired to do a little bit more reading and studying around this menopause topic, particularly around diet and what we could do with that diet that we could use to change some of the feelings we had. I came across the anti-inflammatory diet, and I went down a rabbit hole with it, and hence the anti-inflammatory book, the Menopause Reset with the Anti-Inflammatory Diet. Now, following that, I thought, how can I reach more women? I set up the platform for Thrive Soul so that it created a space for women to share their experiences so that we don't walk through this journey alone. During that time, I also thought, but women in workplace struggle. And actually, this came from a lot of the sick notes or sick certificates as giving to women at work were because they did not feel treated well, or they did not feel supported or understood. And most were going through anxiety, depression, severe hot flashes. So it is a problem. But it's not that the women have stopped being, they haven't lost anything. They just need support through this transition to remain as productive, performing to their best of their ability. So, yes, so I came through that circle of trying to answer the question for those that were going through the symptoms myself, and here I am now, trying to reach out.
Wow. Thank you so much for, I think we all have copies of her book, Menopause Reset, with the anti-inflammatory diet. And we thank God. I mean, it's not good that you went through the symptoms, or all of us are going through the symptoms, but we thank God that then it made you, you know, see what can you do to help us. And like Olga said, there are very few African women who write. So we need to give her a clap for, you know, coming up with a book that can help not only her, but a lot of women who are going through this phase. So Kate, we saw that many women, many of us here and online, are facing different symptoms during menopause. We have fatigue, brain fog, mood swings. Someone was talking about dry skin, weight gain, so many others. And you showed us a diagram here with these symptoms. Can you explain to us what are the symptoms there are? I know you showed the diagram, but go into it a bit more deeply. What symptoms can we experience during this menopause phase? And what does the what is inflammation? What does it have to do with these symptoms?
Thank you. So we have hormones in our bodies that are produced by the ovaries, but it all starts actually in the brain. So during the menopause, when the changes start to happen, the hormone production reduces. Now, when the hormone production reduces, it affects so many things, including inflammation. Yet again, when we have things in our bodies like stress, it raises cortisol levels, which also cause inflammation, and that disrupts the hormone production. So we have a loop where stress, inflammation, and the hormone production are all affected, and then you end up with symptoms that, for example, the joint pains, the brain fog, memory loss, all that becomes a part of the whole cycle. And it's all because the hormone production is reduced. So estrogen is a natural anti-inflammatory. Now, when that natural anti-inflammatory is reduced, then you do get inflammation. Now, inflammation is okay for short periods of time because the body has to react when, for example, think about a small cut. The body has to respond, okay, to create healing. But when the inflammation becomes chronic, that's where the problem comes. And you find that then we create an environment that does not allow good healing. We create inflammation. I was speaking to my cousin earlier, how I had an episode of pancreatitis, and it's again inflammation. So you find that it affects all the different organs in the body. And it's about now finding ways to reduce this chronic inflammation. And there are ways to alleviate it, and one of the ways is through the diet.
So tell us a bit more about diet, because actually, many people would just go straight to medical ways to reduce this inflammation. But your book is really about the anti-inflammatory diet. So please tell us a bit more about how this diet can alleviate these symptoms that we face.
So can I just be clear that the anti-inflammatory diet is not a restrictive diet? Not at all. It's a diet that actually supplements what you're already eating. So if you think about the 5 key things I would really wish for you to take away from here, that two key anti-inflammatory foods or groups are phytoestrogens and omega-3. I'll go into a bit more detail about that. But when I talk about the anti-inflammatory diet or that whole group of foods, I'm really referring to 5 food types. And I've actually put it there as the FSB framework so that we are resetting our menopause with an FSB framework. It's not in your workbook, but I need you to listen to me. So when I talk about food, so FSB is food, stress, and balance. So we are going to break this menopause. We're going to reset with the FSB framework, and it's about the food, stress, and balance. When I talk about food, I'm referring to 5 different types of foods. Now, we're talking about the phytoestrogens, we're talking about the omega-3, we're talking about magnesium, magnesium, we're talking about antioxidants, and we're talking about prebiotics and probiotics. Now, those different food types, they're all available here in Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before we get into the food bit of it, you've mentioned some things that maybe our audience, our non-medical audience, would know. Can you explain to us what are phytoestrogens and omega-3s, and how do these nutrients help us in regulating our hormones?
So the phytoestrogens, if you think about a naturally occurring estrogen. So phytoestrogens are found in foods like soy, in flax seeds, in legumes actually. So you find that they are a natural way of the estrogen, a natural estrogen. So they do help in some cases, but of course they're in very small amounts. The amounts are small, but it's okay. It's still a replacement. Because if you can imagine, the levels are fluctuating, so any small addition you add on to your diet, it makes a difference. But if you need more, like I did, that's why you then have treatment. But if you're actually then putting in other things, like I'm going to talk about alleviating the stress, having a balance, then you might find everything else balances out, and you might then not need to go ahead and have the hormone replacement therapy. But it's about getting the basics right, having that additional, those additional foods in your diet. It's not replacing anything, it's not restrictive, but it's ensuring that they are added to your daily diet and in small amounts.
Mm-hmm. So the phytoestrogens, which you're saying we find in soy and so on, because during menopause we are having a reduction in estrogen, so these phytoestrogens then help us naturally to bring it up. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about omega-3? What does it do?
Omega-3 is actually one of those anti-inflammatory. It's a superfood. So if there is anything, omega-3, if you can't get it in the foods, take the supplements, because it's a superfood. It's an anti-inflammatory. If there's anything you can take away, it's found in chia seeds, particularly walnuts, and apologies for my brain if I do forget.
That's okay.
And it's found in oily fish, which is very commonly found here. So we do use a lot of salmon in England, but here you have tilapia, you have the mukene, so if you can use that in your diet, that's where a lot of the omega-3 is found. It's an anti-inflammatory, so very good.
So I want us to relate back to the many symptoms that all of us are facing. If we take omega-3, for example, in our meals, like you're saying, chia seeds, oily fish like salmon or tilapia. So how does it then help us alleviate? What symptoms would it help us
So the
alleviate?
common symptom you'll find it will help with will be the joint pains. It actually does help with brain fog. It helps with sleep. And to some extent might help with the hot flashes. Again, as you can imagine, it's only if the symptoms are mild, but also if you're doing the other things. So you can't just rely on this one thing, but it's the whole, the whole package. Yeah, so it's a bit like saying that you're going to take only water for weight loss. You also have to do exercises, you have to portion control, you have to, do all those right things. So it's not just one thing. So it's amongst everything else. So yes, the omega-3, again, small amounts. You don't need to eat a whole packet of walnuts for you to get to get what you require. But yes, so it's an anti-inflammatory.
Okay, so we've talked about cytoestrogen, omega-3. What are the other
So we talked about
nutrients?
the antioxidants. So things that are found in, particularly vitamin C, berries, very important. We talked about magnesium, which is found in the green leafy vegetables, very important because it helps with melatonin, it helps with sleep. So it actually also helps with cramps. Very important. It's one of those very important foods to include, to remember to include. But one of the more important ones is called the prebiotics and the probiotics. Yeah, so the prebiotics are like the fiber, which kind of feed on the
gut.
They help the
bacteria,
gut.
yeah.
And the probiotics are like the live bacteria that you take, that you can find in the different yogurts and kefir. I don't know if kefir is actually available here. I think we used to have it as a type of yogurt. Yeah, probiotics.
Wow. So many, and we don't realize that food actually does a lot for us. And from what you're saying, food can then help us regulate these symptoms that we have. Now, if someone is struggling to, come up with a practical meal plan, that's, I think, something that we all struggle with in our day-to-day life. How can we come up with a healthy meal plan for the day? If we are putting into practice this anti-inflammatory diet, do you have suggestions on what we can do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How would we, weave in these different foods?
I included a specific chapter. I have to find it in here to help you, but I'd actually researched some Ugandan foods that we can utilize, because a lot of the foods in here are very Eurocentric. But yes, it's remembering that you don't have to eat all the ingredients, and remembering that it's in addition to your normal foods. So if you can remember to put like sprinkle chia seeds on your breakfast, on your oat, in the morning. If you remember to put like pumpkin seeds that are very good into your salads, if you're able to...
what do pumpkin seeds have that would help us?
Magnesium. And they also actually have omega-3 as well. Yeah. So if you remember to include a lot of, even the sesame seeds are very good. So if you remember to include those different foods in, you're not replacing anything, you're adding them as an addition, and it's not restrictive. Yeah, so then with portion control, being very practical so that you're eating small meals, you're being very mindful how you're eating so that you're not eating hurriedly, you're not going too long without eating so that your energy levels dip. You're actually eating small regular meals. That really does help. And preparing before is so important, because I think I can vouch to that. When you're not prepared, then you end up not eating the right things. So some of the things we really want to avoid are like fried foods, which are a very easy go-to, especially when we are hungry. And that is when we haven't pre-planned. Or maybe when we go out and the meals are large, it's important to be mindful. In fact, part of the practical advice given here is when you arrive, ask for a to-go box so that you have a bit of that kept away for later, so you don't have to eat it all. So again, it's about portion control. If you eat small, regular meals, then it actually helps stave away the hunger, keep up your energy levels, but most importantly, keep hydrated.
And you know, if we look at lunch and dinner, which are most important meals, I want us to give, because your book is quite practical in this, what would you recommend for us to have for lunch or dinner, which are big meals here in Uganda, and what Ugandan foods can we have that are affordable?
I have to remind myself where I put my marker, but I can't see that place.
I think what you have here is what we can find in...
I think it's in chapter 4.
Yeah.
So chapter 4 gives us the breakfast ideas, and it also gives us lunchtime ideas for busy people. Again, it's all about planning beforehand. A lot of this is all about taking the time to prepare before the day comes, and the simple dinner recipes as well. So we can have, for example, whole grain wraps with vegetables or hummus. We can have brown rice stir fry, the lentil soup with root vegetables, the Mediterranean grain bowl, and all these are very rich in, like the antioxidants, the omega-3. So it's not necessarily replacing what we are doing, but it's now being smart on what we are eating. Yeah, so that we are prepared. And then the dinner options, we can have like the tilapia, the fish, which is very good. We can have sweet potatoes because we want foods with a low glycemic index so that we don't have the high sugar spikes. That's what we really need to avoid, so that we are avoiding things that spike our sugars. Yeah, so that if we eat small meals on a regular basis, in fact, the advice is about 3 to 4 hourly, almost taking us back to how we were babies, Then it's a regular set time. It then helps stave off the hunger, keep our energy levels up, but then we are prepared. We're not then going to end up eating the wrong foods. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm getting from you is, meal prep is important. Try so that you're very deliberate in what foods you're going to have during the week.
Yes.
Eat consistent, small meals throughout the day, and try and incorporate different foods that have these different nutrients throughout the day, and hydrate.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think it's also useful that we research what foods that we can find that are readily available, because if it's a lifestyle change, we need something that is available to us and that we can afford.
Absolutely.
And in your book, you have a whole chapter on the gut health. What is the gut? What is the gut health, and why is it important for us during menopause?
The gut is almost like another brain. The gut, think about the gut as a garden. think about the gut as key to, so it's not just where food is, where we just eat the food, but it actually is associated with the immune system, with inflammation, with a lot of things. So the gut is key to even not just energy levels, it's also key to alertness, hormones, you know, so it's very key. Now, when there's what we call dysbiosis or disturbance within the gut, when there's a leakage in the gut, when the structure is not well tight, it will affect the whole balance. So it's very important that the foods we eat help keep the gut in a good place. So that's why we focus on those prebiotics and the probiotics, because they are very key to ensuring, if you think about the gut as a garden, that it's thriving. And when it's thriving, it will manifest in how we feel, how we show up, because you can't have a distended or, and you know, you can't have discomfort or bloating and have and feel comfortable. You'll be it will affect how you show up. So it's important that we take care of our gut, and by how we eat, the amounts, how quickly we chew the food, and also the amount of time we leave before the food. Because then you'll find that, for example, if we give time before we go to bed, so we don't eat and then go to bed, it also helps how we wake up, the energy levels, and also how well we sleep.
Okay. Some people may look at this book and say, I don't know if it actually works, this anti-inflammatory diet. Can you share stories of real women who have, you know, used this diet and how it has helped them through the menopause journey?
So I can't say that I have many real women, because I'm also one of those women. But I can say that one, when, you know, at least I have a few that have used it, one that was overeating. By cutting down on how much they were eating actually did help, because then it was portion control and measured, because now it was, food was no longer controlling them. Now they controlled what they ate. And that's what I'm really hoping that we'll take away from this, that we are in charge of what we put through, you know? So then that helped her emotional health, how she actually showed up at work, because then the symptoms were so much better. Her confidence improved. Personally, by cutting down on dairy, which was one of the triggers for me, I actually use lactase, like an enzyme, which helps me break down the enzyme if I must eat dairy products. I try to avoid if I can avoid it. It really helped me a lot, because I had a lot of discomfort, bowel symptoms, you know. In fact, for a long time, we cracked with my husband, because we have coffee together every morning. We would have a coffee halfway through. I would run, you know, somewhere, then come and finish my coffee. And we blamed the coffee. But actually, it wasn't the coffee, it was the milk. So once I cut out the milk from that coffee, I enjoyed my coffee. I sit through my coffee. And that's why I have my drink here. So, yes, so the diet has helped other women with the joint pains, with fatigue, with it's in addition to exercises, because you can't just make a dietary change without making the other lifestyle changes. And that's why when we started this session, I wanted us to be clear what our values were, what our priorities were, because then we're adding this to our lifestyle. So I do exercise. I need to do a bit more, but I try. And all the other ladies did the same. So because now they had energy, then they could exercise, because that's what it allows you to do. Because then when you sleep better, you have less brain fog. You're more alert. You're more interested in what you're doing. You have more energy to then actually do more. And it almost becomes a self-fulfilling thing. The more you do, the more you actually get doing.
Yeah.
So we just need to break that cycle. And that's what I hope today will do for us. Break that cycle and help us to just press the restart button.
Yeah, I really liked your book, and I encourage all of us to read it. I think one of the things that stood out for me, like you're saying in the book, is that you don't just focus on the food, on the diet. It's about the whole lifestyle change, or reset as you call it. And I wanted to ask how, you've already started talking about it, how does exercise, emotional regulation, mental health, these are part of our arsenal as women going through menopause. How do these connect with the diet so that we live our full lives, or we thrive, as you said?
So if we think about, for example, let's imagine a heavy meal before you go to bed, a meal that's full of trans fats, you know, that's full of fried foods, that's full of high sugars. You go to bed and you wake up not refreshed. You get into work, you have low energy, you haven't slept well, you're putting on weight, because one of the other things that chronic inflammation does is that you put on weight, okay? It puts you at increased risk of insulin resistance. So if you then have all these chronic diseases, you have less energy to actually do the exercises. You have less energy to show up and do a good job because you're physically affected. So if taking it back and you are making the lifestyle changes, you're taking that anti-inflammatory diet, you're taking if you can't get the diet, you're taking the supplements, you know, the magnesium is available, you're taking the omega-3, you're eating those good foods, you're avoiding those sugars and the fried foods, you're eating small meals, you're not going to bed too full, you go to bed, you're rested. You wake up, you have more energy. You then can actually go to the gym, you exercise. It helps your weight, it helps how you feel, it releases all these endorphins, it reduces the stress levels, which, like I said, when cortisol levels are high, the inflammation is high, so it reduces. You find that most people who do exercises have less joint pain. So you find that it is a cascade. You're more sharp in the brain, so it's a whole, you can't really take it apart. So, but it's about getting it right from the beginning, getting the basics right.
Very, let's give that a clap. It's about the whole self and being, how would I put it, being very deliberate in terms of what we take in, our exercise, our mental well-being, to be thriving and to reset. Before this interview, we had all of us talking about the myths that we've had about menopause, and a lot of them are negative, I must say. So menopause is usually viewed very negatively, but your book calls it a catalyst for self-discovery. So how can women around menopause, so that instead of it being negative, we look at it as self-empowering? What advice would you give us?
I hope from today, taking the time to actually self-reflect, go back to where we were as little girls, regain that energy, enthusiasm to actually eat right, exercise, look after ourselves. We've been doing a lot more caring, will enable us to thrive. It starts with getting those simple basics right. Eating well, avoiding stress, and as much as possible, whatever is in our control, getting the balance right. So if we do that, then menopause actually then becomes a chance for us to thrive. I think like one of the English presenters said that it has been a moment for her to, it's been a turning point for her. So menopause can become a time in our lives when we regain new confidence around how we show up, how, you know, being unapologetic about my health, you know, what matters to me. Because then now you know that if we've lost the jail card. The estrogen that was actually giving us a jail-free card is gone. So we have to make sure we are doing the right things to enable us reduce the inflammation. Because we had a natural anti-inflammatory taking up a lot of the things on our behalf, but we've lost it. So we now have to be intentional. Like John Maxwell says, it's not about good actions, it's not about having good intentions, but it's about having good actions. So if there's anything I want us to go with from today, let's be committed to take good actions.
It's not about having good intentions, it's about having good actions. That's powerful. And as we end the interview, because I want us to give a chance to the audience to ask you some questions, can you tell us a bit more about the Thrive Soul community and how we can connect to it? Because you mentioned it as one of the offerings you're giving to women going through menopause. We need a community of like-minded people. So please tell us a bit more about Thrive Soul.
Thrive Soul was created as a platform, a place, a safe place for women to feel listened to feel supported, a place where women will be allowed to live with purpose, find their power, and rise with peace. Because I think as women, I think when women get it right, when we are supported, when we are thriving, without a doubt, our families will thrive. I think we have been blessed. So we need to support each other to actually rise together. So Thrive Soul is there as a safe space for us to grow together, learn together, because I don't have all the answers. And it's about we as a collective supporting each other so that we have a safe space. We can share hacks, we can share what has worked or not worked, and support each other on this menopause journey. Because there's a lot of information out there, but is it applicable? Is it working? If it's worked for you, I mean, like I'll give an example. I visited my home and I found a neem tree that is for anti-malaria, like you know, is a mosquito repellent. And I have only done one study with from one person, but I'm now sharing the word because it's worked for that one person. I could wait until we have a big study to say, let's do this. But if we can share our experiences, what has worked for me might work for someone else, so that we are not waiting for big studies to actually make an impact for us. But let's share those small experiences, learn together, grow together, and be impactful. That's what it's all about.
I couldn't agree more. And many of the menopause studies, unfortunately, are Western.
Yes.
So to have solutions that are homegrown,
Yes.
I think is really important.
Yes.
And we thank you for leading us there. So I want to open it up to the audience for questions, and we've gotten some, so please keep sending any questions that you have, or maybe after I read these ones, you can put up your hand. One of the questions from the audience is menopause a phase? And then after that, there is no menopause?
Oh, thank you. So menopause is actually a point in time where you've had 12 months of no periods. But we talk about that transition. So it's a transition, and it's usually from the age of 45 to 55. It takes about 7 to, in some cases, 14, or even in some cases, 20 years. But we know that even some of those women in their post-menopause still do have symptoms, do suffer with multiple symptoms. So I wouldn't call menopause as a point in time. I mean, what did you describe it as? A question?
A phase.
A phase. It's a transition. Does it answer the question?
Okay. And there are a couple of questions that were around the HRT, hormonal replacement therapy, yes. Right? So many questions here around HRT. How safe is HRT? How much supplements can one take? Which supplements are the safest? And when do I start taking it?
So with HRT, I would say if you've tried all these non-hormonal methods and they haven't worked, like I did, please do go and have the HRT. Why is it important? HRT actually helps us with our bone health. It's more important when you have bothersome symptoms of the hot flashes and the night sweats. That's when it tends to be most effective, but it does help protect against some of the cancers, some of the memory loss or dementia, but more importantly, it helps with the bone health. So I mentioned osteoporosis. So osteoporosis is like the bones become brittle, and people then are at risk of fractures. So, you know, like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of women with, you know, broken hips, or even the back is broken. So the HRT helps women prevent that. But that's if the other symptoms are not effective. The other non-hormonal methods.
Like
but
the
even
food.
Like the food and the exercises. But even then, it doesn't mean that when you have had things like breast cancer, because of course that becomes a time when you have to discuss with a consultant or specialist if it's appropriate. There are ways around it. Or if you've had like clots in the legs, what we call DVT, you would have to have a discussion with a specialist. And there are different specialists here that you can go to for consultation, because of course HRT is very personal to everybody, and the choice will very much depend on what's safe for you, and that's when you would need that consultation. But there are safe options, particularly the ones that you apply on the skin that are absorbed through the skin. So like you can have it in patches or in a spray form or in gel like I'm using. So you find that those are safe options. We would always make sure that when you have the estrogen, you have progesterone as well, unless you've had your womb removed, because if you don't, then you're at increased risk of getting what we call endometrial cancer, because then the estrogen is unopposed. So it's important that when you have HRT, it's appropriate. So it's not just estrogen, but it's with the progesterone if you have a womb. If you have no womb, then yes, you can have the unopposed estrogen. And that's why it's very important to seek specialist help.
Okay. And some questions were around the side effects of HRT or the negative effects. Someone was saying an auntie of hers was taking several menopause treatment supplements. I don't know if this is related to HRT or just supplements, and was told it was what quickened or exposed her to cervical cancers. What is the deal with supplements and how safe are they? So this is, I guess, not HRT,
I would say
supplements.
that probably make sure they are from reputable sources. That's the advice I would give. But like I'd said to you, it's important that we take omega-3, so that's a supplement. The other supplement I would encourage us to take is vitamin B12, because vitamin B12 is actually important for our energy levels. Magnesium, so those are supplements that you can actually get either in combination with other things. And the other important one is vitamin D, which although we are here black and all, it's still important because most of us have actually low vitamin D levels, and that might explain the low energy levels. Yeah.
Okay, and should we take calcium supplements? If not, why?
Yes, I mean, most of the calcium is actually found in the dairy products. But if you're not taking enough calcium from your diet, there's no harm supplementing it with supplements.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you start HRT, do you have to continue it, or is there a time you can stop?
So the advice is actually to stop it, but most people find that they continue with it because one, the initial studies had shown that it was not safe, but actually more studies and more information is coming out about how safe it is. And I think you'll find that when you're using the HRT and it's giving you yourself back, so to say, you wouldn't want to stop it.
So you continue until...
Continue, because I have
your
some
whole
patients
life.
in their 80s who are still on HRT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the dose is reduced. But yes, they are still on their HRT.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are there tests that can be taken to indicate what levels the hormones are?
Yes, there are tests that can be taken. Like I said, the FSH, which is a follicle stimulating hormone, can be taken. But that is only taken up until the age of 45, because at that point, we know that most of the symptoms are actually menopausal symptoms or perimenopausal symptoms. So the point of taking that test is really, it doesn't add a lot of value. So we tend to do the test for patients before the age of 45, and that's to confirm whether people are going through what we call premature menopause. And that's common, and that's actually, that does happen, and that's very important to confirm and diagnose, mainly because of the risk of osteoporosis. So yes, if you're under 45 and you have the symptoms, please do go and have your tests done, because then once the levels are high, it's important that you do have that HRT is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question about HRT. If I take HRT, won't I become more fertile and get pregnant?
So the HRT is about symptom alleviation. It's not so much about fertility. So, but yes, when you're in that perimenopausal stage, up until you've actually gone through the menopause, you still need contraception. So, yes. so it could potentially make you more fertile because maybe your libido will increase, your, so things in that sense. But not necessarily that it will make you more fertile. Yeah.
Okay. Can I get pregnant while in menopause? So almost the same thing. If I'm not going in my period for 12 months, can I get pregnant?
The likelihood of you getting pregnant post-menopause is very, very small. I mean,
that's
like
after the 12
after
months.
the 12 months. But up until the actual menopause, yes, you can, because the ovaries are still trying their best, So you could potentially still fall pregnant. And that's why we emphasize contraception at that point.
Okay. This one I don't understand. So the person who wrote this may have to give us clarity. She says women, especially those who've grown up in the eastern region, are ballistic, or they're active up to 70 years. I guess that's sexually active. So this hormonal cycle versus eastern women is confusing. Can you explain if that's another myth or it's a fact?
It's an interesting question, but I think it's important to remain active, and that's the whole point of the menopause reset and thriving in menopause, so that we are still able to carry on as best as we can. Why should we stop being active? You know, so just because you're in menopause, it doesn't mean that you stop being sexually active, you appear old. Why? You know, this is the whole point, so that you live your life to the fullest. But I can't answer specifically for the Eastern. But yes, did you, okay.
Yes.
You can.
Mike.
You can use this.
I'm saying the diets different regions play a big role. If you listen to what Dr. Kate is telling you about the foods, go back to what traditionally that community takes. When I used to go to the East and I was working, what I enjoyed most was kalo and the peanut paste. They always put sesame in it. It is always mixed. And when you see the greens they use, the leafy green vegetables they use, they have that, I think they also have that slimy dish. We need to do the research. We need to do the research in our communities to understand our deities and enforce these things and write about them for us as Africans. She said most of the things that are written are for the other world because we've left those people to do research for us. Ladies, we have to wake up. We have so many good things. So if they tell you a woman in the Eastern region is doing like this, all of us should visit there.
Yes.
And just understand what are they eating on a daily. And then you incorporate those things in your diet, you'll find there's a big change. Then the other question I want to ask, do you find them doing this a lot in this age? Probably not. We should be observant. So when we go for a wedding in that community, are they the kind who have so many fans or not? And if they are not, there's something special about what they are doing. So it's the observation we are going to take, but the research has to come from us. So when somebody tells you that, you just say, go to your person in the Eastern region, go and learn what they eat. And once you incorporate that, you're struggling at 50, you may start struggling after 70. So I think I needed to say this. So many of our diets have all these things. And when somebody says that, it is very important to follow through, do the research, do the observation, and we document for our own people, for our children, for our grandchildren. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Olga. Do we still have time for the questions? Okay. So there are 2 more questions. And thank you for that submission. We totally agree. We need to write more, research more from our communities, because those are the ones that relate to us. Yes? If I'm on Centrum 50 plus, do I need extra pills for calcium?
So I will ask that you probably check what's actually on that label so that it includes everything. The only thing I would maybe encourage you to take on top of that is the omega-3, which may not necessarily be included in that, but most of those 50 plus will have the calcium, the magnesium, the vitamin D, but they may not necessarily have the omega-3, which I would definitely recommend that you include as well, if you're not taking it naturally.
Okay. How do I make my pelvic muscles strong?
I actually included something in your workbooks about pelvic floor exercises, and it's a type of breathing exercise that you can practice. So if you have a look at your workbooks, I included an exercise for you to consider that can be done anywhere and as often as you want to. In fact, we used to say, try to do for 8 minutes 8 times a day for 8 weeks for the pelvic floor to be strengthened. But that's just the minimum. Keep going.
And you can do them without anyone knowing that you're doing pelvic exercises, even as you're sitting here. Kate, for those who are not physically with us in the meeting, how do they get these workbooks? Because they're really fantastic resources. How can they get them, those online?
So if you go onto the Thrive Soul website, www.thrivesoul.com, the information will be there. And we are also trying to see whether it will be recorded, and as well as Facebook and Instagram, and look out in future. One of the things I didn't say was that I'm improving my social media. So hopefully, who knows, I'll be on TikTok as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but for now, let's think about the Thrive Soul website, which is www.thrivesoul.com. Okay.
So there you have it. If you want your own personal workbook, please go to the website. Someone has asked, I need a career reset from stay-at-home mothering. How do I manage school and work with brain fog and memory loss?
Thank you so much for that, because as part of the training we got with John Maxwell, we did do what we call a personality disc, which we can then use to come up with what are your strengths, what are your priorities, what are your weaknesses, how do you want to relate with people, how do you want to show up in work. And we can use that to help anyone who might want to do that. Again, it's included in your workbook, and it can be on a personal level or as corporate or personal company, and we can do that so that we come up with a plan for you to transition to wherever you want to go.
So again, please join the Thrive Soul community for those resources and help. So we're coming to the final 2 questions. How about us who have had subtotal hysterectomy? What would mark the lack of periods for 12 months?
So it depends on the age. I think it depends on if also the ovaries were removed, although you tend to find that when the ovaries have been removed, the womb has been removed, the menopause tends to be expedited. So having a blood test done would be very key. And I would imagine most of the gynecologists would have recommended HRT, depending on the age at which you had the hysterectomy. So very important, I would say, that if you haven't had that done, that you can consult around that. But with the hysterectomy, it means that actually you have freedom, because then you can use whichever method, because one of the constraints with having the womb is that you have to have endometrial protection, and that can be one of those challenging ones, because the tablets are hard to swallow, or some people don't like to have the coil put in. So you have to have lots of discussion around the endometrial protection side of things. But of course, there is also combined treatments where you actually can take it as in one pill for the HRT that's combined, or the patch that's combined. But particularly for those who, because the question was around those who have had hysterectomy, yes, you're free. You can have the estrogen-only patch, gel, tablet. The choice is yours.
Okay. If one has not yet started having active symptoms, I think active menopause symptoms, given that some people don't, when do we start to supplement calcium?
I would say that given that the estrogen levels are declining anyway, we know that, because it's a normal process, we are losing our natural protection. Starting early allows us to live healthier postmenopausal lives. So if we think about investment, we are investing for the future, because we are thinking about a healthy postmenopausal life, a life without hospitals, a life where we're still productive and able to support our grandchildren and run around with them. So let's invest for the future. So yes, you may not necessarily have symptoms now, but get those basics right. The food, stress, and balance.
Okay, our last question. When you get off the HRT, how do you deal with symptoms of low estrogen levels?
So when you come off the HRT, which you'll be weaned off slightly, again, it's about the lifestyle choices, eating the right foods, keeping your balance right with sleep, hydration, exercises. Again, those basics. Once those basics are right, then you will be okay without the HRT.
Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say. Thank you so much, Dr. Kate, for this marvelous resource, the Menopause Reset book, for the workbook, for the Thrive Soul community. Please let's give her a big round of applause. And for the advice you've given us, free advice, consultation advice. Thank you so much. Let me hand over to Cleopatra. Yeah?
Thank you so much, Christine, for hosting this amazing interview. Dr. Kate, thank you so much for your wisdom. It is a real pleasure that we are here. Not so, ladies. Eh? That is too weak. Not so, ladies. Another round of applause for Dr. Kate. Okay, so I'm going to request you can please feel comfortable. The setup was really beautiful. I love that pearl something. Very nice. So I'm going to request you, before Olga comes and takes on for the next bit that's coming, that Dr. Kate is also going to guide us through. I don't want to say what it is. I'm going to request all of you to get up. Felix, where are you? Are you ready? Oh, Felix has already gone somewhere. Dr. Kate, I wanted a song. You were playing music earlier, so I wanted a song for us to just shake to. Well, shake a bit. Get up, we get into the mood of feeling ourselves as ladies. Let us not forget that we are special. Let us love. They say exercise is one of the best things to do. And for me, the easiest is what? Dance. Right? To our YouTube people, we welcome you once again. Thank you so much for staying with us. We do encourage you to actually comment. Leave your comment. Leave your question anytime, even if it's not right now. Dr. Kate and her team will respond to you. So please subscribe as well to Thrive Soul, okay? You have to thrive. Our souls have to thrive. So subscribe to Thrive Soul. And the book is 50,000 shillings only. Okay. And now, ladies, are you ready? Who's going? Felix. Daka song. You're going to make them dance ballet. I'm more, chamka song. Something. Even you on the YouTube live, dance a bit. Yeah, no DJ. Okay, that's fine. That's perfect. We're on fire. Yes. Now forward. Okay, ladies, let us just move side to side. Oh, hey. And this girl is on what? This girl is on fire! We're on fire, ladies. We on fire. Fire. Shake how you want. Whether you go down, whether you just shake your... But feel yourselves. Fire. Go, Olga. Hey. And it's the... Yes. Hey, hey, go Sheba. Hey. Enjoy. Even if you feel the hot flashes. Yes. And we're not backing down. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, this is the final one. Let's go, girls. We are what? These girls are on fire. Fire. Hey. Fire. We walking on fire with Dr. Kate. Hey, Dr. Kate is on fire. Fire. All right, thank you, ladies. Clap for yourselves. DJ Felix, well done. Clap for yourselves, dear ladies. I think now you feel it. Indeed, you're on fire. We are all of us are panting. What we're going to fight these hot flash things. I am going to fight. We are resetting, right? Menopause 2025. What? Let us say that Menopause 2025. What? Now all together. 1, 2, 3, go. Menopause 2025. Reset. Clap for yourselves. Oh, before I even give the mic to Olga. Since we are on the journey of resetting, and also she talked about supplements, things that you can use in your perimenopause, menopause. What I've not learned today. There is a lady outside there who has products. They are called asilia. Now, asilia is a Swahili word that means authentic, natural, you know, bold, all that. And her products, she has body butters, she has, I think she has a lot of things. There's a coffee, body wash, scrub, lip creams. And another thing that she shared is that she's going to be having supplements that she and a UK-based Harvard trained, yes, okay. So the supplements are developed by the Kenyan-born Harvard-trained gynecologist and Chapter, the brand is Chapter, co-founder, and they are made in the UK with science-backed ingredients to support hormonal balance, ease symptoms like hot flashes, mood changes, sleep disruption and fatigue, and enhance overall well-being. So if you want to know more, just step outside later on when we are done in here and ask her any question, and also buy some of the amazing products. They're quite affordable. Okay, now Dr. Kate has some there she's going to share with us, but Olga, over to you. Remember to subscribe, guys, on YouTube, and those of you who are here, if you are not on the Thrive Soul.
Ladies, are you encouraged? Are you encouraged? So I know somebody who says that these days she uses panty liners more than she used them when she was younger. Sometimes the panty liners are to protect those who have not been doing our exercises. So if you're younger here, I encourage you to do those exercises even now. Those exercises that we can't see you doing, but you can do them as you drive, you can do them anywhere. They will protect you. And if you're past that age, you can still do those exercises, but you know, this is a time to use your panty liners so that you don't have a low self-esteem just because you leaked a little bit. You were holding on for a little longer, but now you're not able to. So you're not being able to should not affect you. There is a panty liner for it, but also there is knowledge. You're going to change. We're going to reset. You're not going to hold longer. Number one. Number two, you're going to do a lot of exercises. Number three, you're going to use that panty liner. Yeah. So there are little lies that we tell ourselves in this season. And so be careful not to allow those lies to take over. So what Dr. Kate is going to do for us right now is to help us in an exercise of self-awareness. Okay? To think a little reflectively. This exercise is taking us not just in a mental space, but also an inward space, a soul space. And if a woman's soul is not protected, we have trouble. We have trouble in parenting. We have trouble in mentoring. We are in trouble in our marriages because the soul is a seat of our emotions. And we relate and we do a lot of things out of our emotions. So welcome, Kate. What Dr. Kate is also going to help us is just to understand how to lead yourself. Because a lot of us, you're sort of depending on other people, but there are things that only you can do for yourself. You're going to get a lot of information, a lot of things, but what can you do for yourself? And we want to walk away with this piece of paper. Did you see this on your table? A word that reminds you of this session and of this reset. So think as she speaks and as she helps us in this process, just think about that word that is going to remind you that you're resetting, and so realign everything that you're doing. God bless. Welcome, Dr. Kate.
Just hold it. So if I can just remind us before we move on that the 4 pillars of the menopause reset: nourish, restore, move, and connect, so that we actually are mindful of what we put beyond here. This is just a summary and a reminder before we actually go on to the self-awareness. So I'd mentioned these as we talked, but those are the 5 food groups. So when we talk about sleep, making sure we have adequate sleep. Hydration is it's very dependent on yourself, but about 30 to 35 mils per kilogram, and very much dependent, again, on the situation. Because, for example, if you're in a very hot area, you might need more than just that. The average tends to be about 8 liters a day, 8 glasses a day, okay? So if you roughly think about that, not 8 liters. So, yeah, so again, it's just making sure that we, especially during this time, we get tired. It's okay to take a nap if we need to. You know, having rest cycles restores us. And that's what I need us to remember, that we now have to really take care of our tempo. It's okay to say no, to take a rest, to replenish, to restore. You can blame me. Ladies, I need you moving. We just did a little bit of movement earlier, but I need us to really move. Aiming for at least 150 minutes a week, if we can, or at least 10 regular minutes of high-intensity training, so that we can, you know, regain our strength, our balance, and strengthen our pelvic floors. So there's simple exercises that we can do, like the yoga, the Pilates. Let's try to get active. Let's keep moving. And actually walking, which is very free, which you can do. We have some nice places you can walk on in this area, and yet it's very safe and able to. Please do walk, okay? We've talked about connection, which is important for our emotional and mental well-being and resilience building. The balance I wanted to just mention briefly is about the emotional and mental wellness. the work-life balance, because it's very key that during this time, we actually can speak to our employers, or as employers, be considerate to our employees, okay, during this time, so that we can enable that work-life balance. We've talked a lot about the hormonal balance through the lifestyle choices that we make, and very important, the spiritual and inner balance. One of the things I wanted us to go away with was being calorie aware, and remembering that it's not restriction, but it's more about balancing. That we're eating slowly with no distractions, and we are moving. So we can get a lot of small tips by just making those small changes, because those small changes will actually make big changes in the long term. Don't try to make the big changes in one go. Before we leave, I'll ask us to make a commitment. What small change are you going to make? So you can look at this and think through, what small change am I going to make? I've put visually in your workbooks a simple illustration that can help us with portion control, and we can use our hand to actually help us determine the amount that I'm encouraging us to have, okay? Because at this stage, we're trying to avoid, like I said, the carbohydrates, the high sugars. So a simple way of looking at it, think about the think about the palm. That's the amount of protein on your plate. Okay? The palm. Now think about your cupped hand. The word had refused. It was no, yeah, the word had refused. So cupped hand. Think about the cupped hand as the amount of carbohydrate you need. Can you imagine? You don't need more than that, okay? So think about your fist as the amount of vegetables on your plate, and make them colorful. Have the different colors on your plate. And then for your oil, which includes the fats, the cheese, that's about it. And the avocado as well. Yes. Because you really don't need more than that. Because more than that, then we are then going into cholesterol area. Because more than that, then you're coming to me for another problem. And that's what one of the things I want us to take away with today is, ladies, let's know our numbers. Let's know where we're starting from, because we cannot make change when we don't know our baseline. So the things I need us to know, how much do we weigh? What's my blood pressure? You know, what are my cholesterol levels? So that as we're making these changes, we're actually seeing improvement. We're seeing, because then it empowers us to actually make those changes and see the differences it's making. So, okay. We want to make a break. We'll go straight. So today is just reminding us that it's not about losing control, but it's about learning our body's new language. So the body is now changed, and we need to change with it. So the demands of the body have changed. The other protection we had with the estrogen has reduced. So it's now beginning to speak a new language. Let's be in charge of that language. Let's be in charge. Let's be in control, not being controlled. Because when we understand inflammation and hormonal change, we unlock the power to heal, to balance, and to thrive. So that midlife isn't about control, but it's about flexibility, balance, and self-kindness. Let's be kind to ourselves. And you have the permission to say no. I've given you that permission. Because sometimes we forget ourselves, and we're giving, and we forget to be kind to ourselves. So let's think about that. Okay? I won't go into the detail of that. But I wanted us to increase our self-awareness and how we show up and the impact it has on others, and ask ourselves, is our light shining? I'm going to use a video. I hope it plays out because I didn't get a chance to practice it here. I hope it does. If it does, well and good. If it doesn't, we'll skip ahead. Just to give us an example of how we may actually appear to people. And I think one of the myths that was mentioned was people are rude, people have been given permission to just, no. We still can take control of that. We don't have permission to hurt other people, so hope we enjoy this. Lights. Volume. Somebody come and help me. We might have to. We'll restart. Oh, yes. Where? Oh, yes. Let's try again. He had okayed it. He said he had connected it. Yes. What's the time?
And I'm going to experience that excellence moving forward. Am I right? Very good. The last delivery to our client promised an arrival time of 2 p.m. 2:04 is not 2 p.m. I expect excellence from every member of our team, and I'm going to experience that excellence moving forward. Am I right? Very good. Wow. She's so organized. This is going to save me hours. Days. Kim Miller to Ricky Ford's office. Kim Miller, report to my office.
Oh, she hates the reports.
2:04 is not 2 p.m. I expect excellence from every member of our team.
Oh man,
I can't afford to lose this job. Okay. Get it together, Kim. You gave her what she wanted. Okay. I mean, take it like an adult. You can do this.
Kim Miller, report to Ricky Ford's office immediately. These are awesome. You paged? Kim, I sincerely can't believe the quality of this work. Did you do this?
Yeah.
This is really, really good. I couldn't have done it better myself. Oh, did I miss something?
I thought you were gonna fire me. You're so particular and really, and I mean...
No, Kim, how could I fire the woman that single-handedly saved me days of work and may have set the bar for our department and how we do our reporting? No, I was going to compliment you, thank you, and talk to you about how to teach this to others, how to deliver like this as manager of the department.
But our department doesn't have a manager, though.
It does now. Congratulations. Last delivery to our...
What were your reflections and observations on that video?
Reflections?
The self-doubt and really going down a rabbit hole that everything is wrong instead of thinking of it, the other side, that it's okay. Yeah.
Anyone else with reflections? Show of hands, who wants to?
Yes. I think she has menopause, of course. And then she's got brain fog. Yeah, brain fog.
Okay. Oh, you're right.
In addition to self-doubt, it's kind of feeling, always thinking that the worst thing is going to happen. Even if you know you've done a good job, but you're always thinking that they have to find out something bad about me.
I think taking it to menopause, maybe we also think about menopause like, it's such a horrible thing. But you can go through it very well.
Anyone else, ladies?
Yeah, I think challenges of having a younger boss.
I was going to say that I think that women in this season need lots of affirmation. I don't know how many women you tell you're very smart in this season, and they actually are, and they just look away. It's not that they don't know how to say thank you, but they just can't believe it, yeah.
Ladies, anyone else?
I was thinking the leader needs help. The tone of voice, the way she summoned, I mean, you would start freaking out.
That's the Gen Z. Hey, they'll be like...
I think it's the way we look at things sometimes, looking at the glass as half empty and never looking at it as half full.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, one more.
You can still be productive in the workspace when you're older.
Over to you, Dr. Kate.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. It's important how we show up at work. It's important how we show up for ourselves. And more importantly, how we feel about ourselves. And in your workbooks, I actually put something about name your feeling. Because when you name your feeling, then you know how to deal with it, how to show up. And it's okay sometimes because of the hormone changes to go through those mood swings, the fluctuations, and it's okay. But when you name it, you then have more control over it. Then you know you have a strategy around it. You can either take yourself away. So when you're more prepared and you've thought about those times, so that, for example, you don't make decisions when you're not in a good place. Yes, so it's remembering that those fluctuations are normal. Sometimes you can use that, please use it. Use that wheel to name it, and then begin to think of strategies for when you feel the way you might feel, what can I do? Then you either, some of us will read a psalm. I read a lovely psalm this morning, Psalms 145. It was beautiful. So if you take a walk, do something. And that's what I want us to do. Because brain fog is real. Our confidence dips when we enter this phase. Our energy fluctuates. That's why it's important to have almost like a barometer so that you can do something when your energy levels are low, or avoid doing something. And like I said, give you permission to say no, okay? So that you remain authentic to yourself. So we won't go into a big detailed discussion around developing the leader within you, but I want you to remember that it's not about a title, it's not about how the label. But I want us to make sure that we show up for ourselves. We are all leaders in our own right. You're a mom, you're a sister, you're someone in the church, you're someone at work. Let's show up well for ourselves. So what are some of those invisible lenses we may have inherited? For example, the beliefs, the assumptions that have shaped how we view our lives, how we view our future, how we view our potential. Because then it's all about influence. Because leadership is about influence. Now, John Maxwell reminds us that everything rises and falls on leadership. But a good thing is that leadership can be developed, and we can then influence with authenticity. But to be authentic, we need to be self-aware. Now, we need to leverage both our strengths and vulnerabilities to connect. We need to balance our priorities. That's why it's important to know our priorities so that we are not basing on other people's priorities. So then we have protection. So we are using the 80-20 rule, not 100%, and we have no margin. So we have margin. So we model resilience so that our attitude sets the tone, so that we have a positive attitude. We have a can-do attitude. But remember to leave some for yourself, I think in life it's important to have a mentor. I've benefited from mentorship. I would encourage all of us here to consider one if we don't have one. Because success without a successor is failure. So we need to invest in our future, especially as women. Leadership grows with success. So let's influence the people around us that we genuinely care about. With that, I want us to progress to questions. I hope we have more increased self-awareness. We have a reason for us to reset. We have our values clear, we have our priorities, and most importantly, we now have our MMS, our menopause mission statement. Before we go into our activity, I just wanted to ask if there was any question. Then we will have a final presentation, just a few lines at the end.
I think they're resetting in their minds. Are you resetting? Yeah, there's so much to process. This is my suggestion. I'm just thinking that after this, if we could just sign up to be on our WhatsApp group and keep this conversation going. Because once you're here and you haven't written your MMS, who knows what MMS is? Let's say that together. Menopause mission statement. So really how you're going to reset. So if we can do that, I kind of think that this conversation is an ongoing conversation until next year. So allow us to just get into this fun bit so that we close well. Our online audience, thank you so much for logging on and staying with us through this morning. We are excited for you that you are resetting, and we're going to walk this journey together. So we invite you to be on our WhatsApp group and to follow on Instagram, and TikTok is coming soon. And if you haven't purchased this book, it'll be lovely for you to purchase it at only 50,000 shillings. It has meal plans, and those meal plans are not restrictive, and so you can just include it in whatever else you're eating. And for some of you, I think that you may have to do an overhaul, a complete overhaul, but it's all here. So welcome, Kate, to do this little crafty thing that is going to help us remember this day. If you don't have something like this, online viewers, I invite you to create your own and write a word that is going to remind you of your MMS, your mission statement going forward. And that will remind you about your diet, remind you about that thing that gives you dopamine. Maybe you need to walk, you need to talk with a girlfriend, talk until you get it, until you feel relieved. For the rest of you, kindly write down, what's that one word thing? You're taking it home, but we want you to do it here today. Welcome, Kate. There's one question. Yes, please, welcome.
I hope I'm not going ahead. I don't know if we're having exercises, but I had a question about strength building exercises, just to say something small, unless if you're going to demonstrate some, because there are many exercises, but there are those that spoil the knees, strain the spinal cord. So what would be recommended, just like we've gone through the foods, the details. And then when we set up the WhatsApp group, maybe to share a TikTok of safer exercises, because people can get actual fractures. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Indeed, we need to be safe whatever we're doing. And as I said before, our bones at this point are brittle sometimes. They are not as strong, so it's important that we are doing exercises that strengthen, particularly the big muscles, okay? So yoga, Pilates is very good. Walking, okay, really good. But also the weights, it's important to do the weights, okay? So in time, we'll probably have someone who is more an expert in that area to lead us through that. And that's what I said at the beginning, that I'm not an expert. I'm just one chapter maybe, or half a chapter ahead. But we are, we are in this together. We are walking this together. So I don't have all the answers, but it's about also people sharing their experiences about what has worked and what hasn't worked for them. Okay, so Does that answer that? Then we can, okay, Anne had an answer. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, just to supplement Kate on the strength exercises. I think usually we do exercises as we go, but we don't know which exercises we do. When we're younger, all we want is to put our metabolism down. So you're doing more the cardios. The running, the dancing, and you really, really sweat. When you get to 40s, up to 50, then you need to start the strength. What does it mean? As she said, the menopause is going to put into a cycle of your muscles thinning. When your muscles thin, in a way it also weakens your bones. So the strength exercise is one that you're doing to allow you work your muscle. When you work your muscle, you get its strength. That's what we call tone. When your muscle is toned, then your bones are going to be stronger. So you have to know at which age, which exercises you do. Then as we get to this stage, you just have to now put in the balance. The balance. So you're doing cardio, you're doing strength, and you are now adding balance. You're just moving there and they're falling because they are not doing the balance exercises. So all these, you need somebody to help. So the strength for now, for our age, it is more now going into the gym where we never used to go. And you remember, which exercise has this guy given me already who is instructing me that are strengthening the lower muscles, which is saying the bigger, then the upper muscles. The good thing about the body, it has very many small, few things you're working on. It's your upper, it is your lower, and it is here. So before you leave, ask, have I done for the legs very well? Have I done for the hands very well? And have I done for this? And then, of course, the cardio is also still helping with your brain and the maintenance. And then, of course, the balance then comes in. So that is, and the strength is mainly lifting. Now we go and we push things like our legs up. You're lifting up. You're doing more the lifts. It's the ones that work you. So when I do this, when you do this, I'm working the muscles. I'm trying to build the strength. So your trainer has to know this, and you tell them, I'm here to build strength. So don't walk into the gym like any other girl, and you're following through. No, you have to know what you've gone for. Tell the trainer, I'm here. I'm here for strength muscles, for this, for that. I'm also here for balance exercises, so that they focus on you. Because you're not the same as those other, maybe younger people in the gym. So your exercises are not going to be, so exercises are also age specific, also for your age, and you get out knowing you've taken care of yourself well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want us to be little girls again. I don't know about you, but I did used to enjoy coloring. So on your tables, you have a choice as to the gingerbread man type thing, okay? Or you have that, which will work like a bracelet, that, or that, whichever one you fancy. Please pick one and color it the way you want it to look so that it demonstrates you shining. What does a reset you look like? You can put your MMS, you can put a flower, whatever you feel you fancy. You can keep this as your bookmark. You can keep this, you can wear it as your bracelet. And the little gingerbread man actually has a magnet. You can then put it on your fridge as a magnet, you know, as a fridge magnet, so that you have a reminder of today when you reset. So today is, I just want you to remember to have a reminder of when you reset so that you take that with you. Thank you. So there is the yellow scratches. Have you seen them? Yes. So use them. Thank you. Yeah. So it won't be messy, and yet will be colorful. Enjoy.
Carry weights. That's nice. That's interesting. Keep moving. Yeah, I have no art in the head. Creative.
I'm happy. My heart is full.
That's nice.
That's good. Come to the end. You've done well.
Yeah. I think it was a good number. It's a good number. Everyone needs money.
At this age, we need to have money to replace this age. I need money. Because if you have no money, you can't reset. Hey, can you reset
When
without
you have no money, you can't everything needs money.
So you're going to beg people to take you to the gym. You can't afford it. You can't afford shares.
So do you have a magnet?
You can't afford
Do you all have?
omega 3.
Really?
No, it's you have to
That's
attach
why,
it.
okay, I think for the young girls, let's give them this conversation at 25 so that they work towards that financial independence to allow them to be able.
Do you have a magnet?
No. I need one. Because they are how many? But there were many things here. There were many magnets. I saw them here. There were many.
I saw them around. She went to them around.
Oh.
Finalize and then go to do a book signing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many of us place an if between what we want and the conditions we are waiting for. So I want us to remove that word if. I'll improve in this area if the conditions we are seeking will probably never align properly. So we have set up our MMS. We went through our priorities and our values. But the word if can cripple our growth if we are not using it to, if we are using it to stall our new beginning. So I want us to live today and leave the word if in this hall. Can we agree to that? As we live, let's leave the word if here. Okay? That's an instruction. Doctor is talking. Menopause is not an ending, it's a new beginning. And with mindful habits and a proactive mindset, we can actually thrive through this transition. Let us thrive. Let us thrive forward. Let us shine. My light didn't shine the way I wanted it to shine, but let's commit to shine. Our Thrive Soul mission is to redefine menopause so that it's a time to actually come away from struggle, to give people a voice, to be supported personally, professionally, and culturally. The dream would be to support 1 million women. I don't know if, we say we have to start with a dream, right? So that's the dream. Imagine if we had 1 million women, that's our goal, to thrive through the menopause and the midlife, to give them the tools and the support and the community that's needed to live with power, to live with peace, and to thrive with purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kate. Don't you love women who support women? Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for allowing us to tap into our little girl on the inside. Sometimes I see little girls at church wearing long, round dresses, and they do a quill, and they they just are so happy. And I'm thinking, where is that little girl? And so the reset is supposed to help that little girl come out. Everything that you have gone through, whether it's adversity, whether it's good stuff, your career, your experience in marriage or singlehood, your experience in your community and in your family, is all coming together in menopause. And part of the question that says, what have I done, is just holding yourself accountable. It's not a bad question. It's an invitation to reset. It's a season. It's a season. When it's cold, you don't say, why is it cold? You just get a sweater and wear it, isn't it? When it is hot, you try and find a light blouse. And so menopause is an invitation to simply pick up the tools that will help you glide through this season. And you can't glide through by yourself. You need a sisterhood. And so this is our sisterhood, friends. Look at your friend and say, you're my sister. I'm going to hold you accountable. Yeah? Yeah. Enjoy the season. Enjoy the season. So what we're going to do today, right now, is to have Dr. Kate autograph our books, and she will sign them, and you'll take a lovely picture. Those of you who came in a little later, take a lovely picture. We will be there just to take a picture with you and Dr. Kate, and then we will take perhaps a group photo is first, so that we release you to go. Shall we pray? Shall we give thanks? Yeah? Lord, we thank you. We thank you for our technical team that have been here since morning. We thank you for this space, the protea that we have enjoyed, the meal that has been served. But most of all, we thank you for your daughter, Dr. Kate, and how you have used her to enrich us, to empower us, to give us a new confidence, and to help us in this resetting journey. What a privilege. What a privilege to have been here this morning. What a privilege that you have been here with us. And so we pray that as we build this community and as we launch it, you will be with us in this journey, that we will look back and see the tools that we have acquired along the way and hand over those tools to the younger generation. We are so thankful, so grateful for what you're doing in KET and what you're doing in the rest of us and in our lives. In Jesus' name we prayed. Amen. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to us. Please log on. We're going to give you a link and continue the conversation. Okay?
And my name is Cleopatra Kohire. I've been your MC alongside Madame Olga.
I'm Olga Ajiri. I am very passionate about parenting, and any parenting questions, I'm happy to walk the journey with you. I coach and we train online. And so I am so excited in this menopause season because I know that all the years are counting for a purpose. So all the years of whatever you're doing are counting for a purpose. Yeah.
I don't really need a microphone, but I promise please that I will testify. No, please, they're finished. Please, offline, please. Offline. I just wanted to testify about what, you can have your seat. I'm not going to take long. About what Kate has been saying. You know, there are sometimes people come and teach you and you think it's a joke, and you go away and you think it's not important. But I got a fibroid, and it was really harassing me. So Dr. Businje put me on Zoladex.